don't always know when we're actually live. So I'm just going to go back to the group, refreshing the page until it pops up.
Right.
Okay, just bear with me. It says that we're live. So there we go. Awesome. Okay, I'm just going to click on it, make sure there. So I'll just do a quick intro, Ange, just to introduce you. And then I'll let you, I'll ask questions, and obviously kind of point you in the right direction of the conversation. I know you already started letting some stuff out. So welcome everyone that's watching tonight. I know sometimes it takes people a bit of a while. So if you are watching live, the best thing you can do, because there's loads of new people in the group. In fact, over this weekend, we've had more than 100 people just join the group this weekend. So there's over 2,100 people, or ladies. Sorry, I shouldn't say people, I should say women. There's over 2,100 women in this group now. So what you could really do that would not help me necessarily, but help the new women in the group to find this video, is if you can press the like and the love heart button. So, you know, show us that you're really excited, ready for this thing. Press the like, the love heart button, start commenting, start saying you can see me and you can hear me. Say hello to Ange. If you can start interacting, what that does is that will start showing other people that are in this group that we're live. Okay, they'll start getting notified. The way the Facebook algorithm works is it rewards content that gets engagement. So if you're new, or you're not, by engaging in this, start pressing the like button, the love heart button, and it will start showing it to people, and hopefully they'll help find it. So for those that have managed to find us, awesome. For those that haven't, and you watching this on replay, the easiest thing to do is when I do my live stream at 8 p.m, refresh the page. Okay, once you've refreshed the page, just scroll down the page a little bit and you'll see the live video, and it have a red live in the top corner. All right, so if you're watching this live now, say just drop me a hashtag live. If you're watching this on replay, so if you're watching this tomorrow or next week or whenever you're watching it, throw me a hashtag replay. And if you're new, throw me a hashtag newbie in the comments. All right, so start pressing the like button, the love heart button, comment in below, and that will start showing people that we're live. So I'm really excited tonight. I'm genuinely really looking forward to this conversation, because when did we start working together, Ange?
Literally just before lockdown. Was it like beginning of March?
Yeah, March 20,
beginning of March. I can't remember. It was sometime in March.
Yeah, so me and Ange was someone who worked with me. I don't work with anyone anymore, one-to-one. So Ange was someone that worked with me, and basically I had only gone online less than a year before that. Okay, so I've been doing this before. I've been doing it face-to-face. I was working out of a gym. I was doing a mix of online and face-to-face. And literally just less than a year, I'd gone online. And Ange was one of very, very few women that I worked with one-to-one. So I'm really excited, because we only worked together for 12 weeks. So I want you to bear in mind that what we talk about tonight, I literally only worked with Ange for 12 weeks, one-to-one. Since that period, Ange has stayed part of our community. She stayed part of our group, but she receives no coaching. She's paying an absolute minimal fee just to get access to our group, to our yoga, to all of that kind of stuff. It's less than what you would pay for a diet club and a gym combined. In fact, I think it's less than what you'd pay for a diet club. So Ange is just part of our group still, so because she accesses our yoga, our fitness classes, all of our guest speaker appearances. But yeah, I just wanted to make you super aware, whoever is watching this, whatever Ange tells you, I only coached her. I only worked with her for 12 weeks, which I think shows how amazing Ange is. And, you're going to see, she's incredible. I'm really, really looking forward to sharing Ange's story. So Ange, the best place to start is tell us exactly how you were feeling when I first was talking to you in kind of February, March last year.
Very fat, very lethargic, tired, really bad sleep. I've always been conscious of my diet, or I thought I was, and exercise. But I was flogging myself to death doing cardio, and it wasn't really making any difference. And I'm not a person that eats a lot of crap. So I felt quite frustrated, really. And when we talked, you said, this is what we can do. And I went for it and said, let's do it. So that was that.
I think that's something I want to touch on very, very quickly, because I've spoken to a few people in the past and they've said to me, it can't be my diet. Like, I don't eat crap. I don't eat rubbish.
It can.
So what you know now, obviously you felt pretty similar in that you didn't feel your diet was that bad, like you ate relatively healthy. And, when we looked at your diet, yes, some of the foods you ate were healthy foods. What would you say to the people watching, the women watching, that say it can't be my diet?
I would say it very definitely can. My experience in the past was with Slimming World, where you're kind of brainwashed into this idea that some foods are bad and they're sins and you mustn't eat them, which I now know is a load of crap, because basically no food is bad. It's more about the protein content, your satisfaction. 1,300 calories of donuts is going to be the same as 1,300 calories of lettuce, isn't it? So I think I learned a lot about eating, about the contents of food, through talking to you and using MyFitnessPal. That really made a huge difference. I would say that, if anything, I now eat more chocolate and more pizza than I did before. No, I honestly do, because I know that I can eat anything that I want. One day of cake isn't going to make a difference. It's understanding what you're eating. Protein, particularly, makes you fuller, more satisfying. I eat a lot more protein than I did. I eat a lot more fibre now, I think, as well, because I'm aware of how important all these things are. And you can have as much variety as you want. As I say, you can eat donuts all day, or you can eat lettuce. It's about tracking your food and tracking your calories, I would say. And I did think that I knew what I was doing, but I don't think I was. Not properly aware, definitely not. And there's so much poor advice out there with all these crazy keto diets, eat lemons for breakfast, and it's just all nonsense. So getting proper advice, proper nutritional advice, I think was key for me, definitely.
I think that's a really good point that you made there, Ange. Like, because a lot of people will say to me, "Oh, well, I've done Slimming World and I've done Weight Watchers, and they teach you how to eat healthy." Like, how would you compare the like? And I don't mean this in a derogatory term, because I know, well, statistically, 1.5 people in every 10 are successful long term. So there are obviously about 1 in 10 or 3 in 20 that are successful long term. So that it does work for a very, very small number of people. But what would you say the difference is between the people that run those diet clubs and the coaches at ARC?
Well, the coaches at ARC are properly trained nutritionists who give you accurate advice. The woman that runs Slimming World doesn't know anything about nutrition or diet. And it's all about getting you into this weird mindset where foods are sins. Some foods are sins. And the idea of anybody in a diet club saying you can eat as much pasta as you want is counterintuitive, because it's just not going to work. I did start buying the Slimming World meals. Didn't last long. Very, very disappointing. Actually quite high in calories, not satisfying, a lot of salt content. It's just a big gimmick to me, it seems like. And my sister was at Slimming World and she lost 2 stone really quickly, but she put it all back on again.
Yeah, we were talking about your sister just before this call, weren't we, Ange?
Yes, she didn't she didn't understand about nutrition and about proper diet. And obviously, when you throw into the mix the whole issue of menopause and premenopause and fat around your tummy and everything else, Slimming World doesn't care about that. They just want you to keep paying your money. And people seem to spend their lives in an endless cycle. I mean, I know that even now, I could ask any one of the coaches for advice about anything pretty much to do with diet and health, and I would get an answer.
I tend not to check in on you too much anymore, Ange, because
whenever I know you don't, because you're the big boss man now. You've got lackeys.
It's not just it's not just that, Ange. Whenever I ask you, is everything okay? Like, how's it going? You're like, yeah, I'm grand.
Well, mostly I am.
Yeah. Mostly I am. Okay, well, I'll leave you to it.
Yeah, definitely. So I would say, yeah, definitely understanding more about my diet. In terms of exercise, obviously you gave me a program which I really embraced because I love doing weights. That worked very well for me. I mean, I don't do 2 hours every day of the week. It's maybe only three sessions a week now, possibly 4 hours. It depends what's happening. But it's more about consistency, I think, in what you're doing. So
when you say consistency, like I've had people, like obviously you came from when we used to do a 5-day challenge. We don't do that anymore. And I've seen women that have done the 5-day challenge, and they have like 1 or 2 days where they kind of fall off, and then they're like, oh, this isn't going to work for me. So when you say consistency, like, obviously working with me and obviously now on your own in the group, like, what does consistency look like?
Well, I think for me, it starts off with defining realistic goals. And one of the very useful things was, what do you want in the short term? What do you want in the medium term? What do you want in the long term? I mean, I'm now lighter than I have been for nearly 30 years, I think. Yes, really, without much effort. I don't beat myself up if I have a cake or a bit of pizza, because it's about the overall approach. It's not about a day here and a day there. But if you have the awareness about tracking your food and about the food content, you do start to see change. I mean, I saw change really quite quickly. But I've lost more weight since our original 12 weeks, but I'm quite happy where I am now. And I seem to be staying there without a great deal of effort. I think one of the really, really important things for me was steps, doing stepping, because I'm very guilty of sitting at my computer all day and not just getting up and moving. And if I can't go for a walk, I'll just go up and down the stairs, or I'll dance in front of the TV. My steps are pretty consistent, I have to say. I mean, I started off aiming for 12,000 a day, and I never met 12,000, so I would get depressed and think, well, why are you doing this? This is stupid. So I put it down to 10, and then it seemed to come much more effortlessly.
Can I just like highlight that there? That's what you just said, Ange. So I speak to people all the time that set these ridiculous goals, whether it's, obviously not everyone tracks their food that we work with now. Like we use various different approaches, but those that do or have done in the past, I've spoke to have set like ridiculously low calorie goals, or like you said, step goals that are too high. And from my experience, having worked with, ladies like yourself, if you set like too many goals or very, very unrealistic goals, then like obviously you said when you weren't hitting that 12,000, you felt like,
I'm a failure.
Yeah, it felt like a failure. So I think this is one thing. Like, I want to give as much value tonight as possible, and I think you've already, Ange, you're already given loads, like in terms of tips from you, which I think is brilliant. So one thing for those watching tonight that I would say straight away is, one, don't set too many goals. Like, you don't need to change loads of things all at once. Like literally one or two things. And the second thing is make it realistic and achievable, because humans have what's called negativity bias. This is a psychological, this is supported by research. This is supported by the research that is done by psychologists. And what that means is that when we set ourselves goals, or we set ourselves things to do, as soon as you fail one thing or you don't reach one of those goals, you focus on the negative rather than, you might be doing loads of other things really, really well. And I know Ange, when we first started working together, she might not have been hitting her 12,000 steps, but I know she was like nailing so many other things, like her exercise, like she got rid of cardio, was doing weight, she was increasing her protein. There were so many positives. But as you can see, so for those ladies watching at home, just, you can see that one goal that she set herself. And by the way, you notice Ange set the goal. We're not a dictator here. Like, this isn't a dictatorship. You must do this, you mustn't do that, because that doesn't work. Like, we don't tell people what to do. We help guide them. So you can see here, just that one negative is a focus, and you feel like a failure. So for women that are watching this tonight, like, there's so many aspects to this that it's not as simple as like, right, okay, I've got to hit this protein goal, I've got to hit this calories, I've got to hit this many steps. Like, there are so many nuances in that. Can I bring up your sister a minute, Ange?
Of course.
So I know Leslie's in the group, so I hope she doesn't mind me kind of bring this up. But I just want to highlight, obviously, Ange has worked with us one-to-one. And I know, Ange, you've tried to help your sister, right?
Well, she showed an interest, but then she's not got the time. But, you know.
Yeah. So Ange has tried to give her sister guidance based on what she's learnt with us, which I think is brilliant. But her sister has not managed to have the same success. And I think it's important to realise there's maybe like context and nuances with everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. What is it that you say could gosh, what was that clever saying? Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, exactly.
What you're doing is nothing to do with anybody else, and comparing yourself, it's not helpful. It's not helpful. What we're talking about is a kind of life-changing, transformation process that should be with you for, forevermore. Once you know what you need to know and you've got the right information and the right tools to do it, we can all get there. We can all achieve the goals. I remember I said to you what I wanted to do weight-wise, and I said, "Oh, I know I'll never be able to do that." And you said,
"So what was your weight and what was your size when you started?"
You were. Well, I'm quite small. I'm 5'2".
Yeah.
I was 10 stone 11, and I'm now 9 stone 7. So
18 pounds. But you were a size 16, right?
I was getting into a 16. Yes, 14s were very tight, and I was a 16. And I'm now a 10, 12, depending on what the clothing is. So it worked for me. It definitely did.
What was the goal when we first started? I can't remember exactly what you said to me, where you wanted to be.
I just wanted to feel better. Well, originally I said 10 stone, and then I said 9.5, because I lost the first stone quite quickly. But that remaining 4 or 5 pounds, that took a while. That did take a while. And it's obviously it's worth mentioning that, you might not lose any weight in a week or 2 weeks or even 3 weeks. You might lose half a pound. You might lose 4 or 5. But it's about the longer term, what you want in the longer term, I think. And be realistic, be consistent.
And I would say as well, although there wasn't a massive amount of weight for you to lose, and like 18 pounds isn't loads over the period of time that we've obviously worked with you, but your body shape, like,
well, that totally changed. Totally changed. I've got like nice shoulders and arms that I can wear vest tops, and I can't remember now, but I lost a ridiculous number of inches off my thighs doing the stepping, and that was really quick. That was very, very noticeable, very, very quickly.
The picture I put up for today, I think that was like 4 to 8 weeks apart, wasn't it? It was like
that was early on in the process. Yeah. It wasn't 12 weeks. It was 4 to 8 weeks, yes. And then my phone on my camera broke. I'll need to try and get some photos, more photos. Yeah, that was very quick. That change happened very quick.
So obviously you've lost weight, you've dropped 3 dress sizes, you've lost 18 pounds. But what,
40 inches, 35 or 40 inches, I think. No, centimetres, sorry. I'd be dead. Centimetres.
So 30, 40 centimetres. What other changes have you noticed? What other benefits?
I feel much more confident. I feel much happier in myself, and don't worry about, I'll look fat in this, or, confidence, yes, and a general happiness. I think that comes, it's not rocket science, really. You're going out every day for a walk. So you're getting out the house, you're getting a bit of fresh air, you're getting your exercise, makes you feel better, makes you feel positive. I love doing the yoga and the weights as well. And I always feel fantastic after I've done my session. But it's not, I'm not doing hours and hours of exercise and walking every week. There's as I say, there's no point. You need to have realistic expectations. If you've got to be in your work at 7:00, you're not going to do yoga before you go. Well, some people might, I suppose, but I work at home, so it's easy for me to fit things in. So I think people as individuals need to work out for themselves how things will fit into their lives. Especially, I know a lot of the ladies that are married and they've got kids and jobs, and they're very, very busy. I live alone with my cat and I work at home. So
but saying that, when we first started, so that first 12 weeks, Ange, how many hours a day were you dedicating to your dissertation? Like to your PhD, sorry.
Oh, 10, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say.
And you were still working as well, weren't you?
I was working as well, yes. Mm-hmm.
So you're doing 10 hours a day of a PhD?
More or less.
and you were working, like, by the way, for women watching at home, I was kind of a bit blown away when I first found this out, but Ange is actually a really, really well-known archaeologist. If you type her name into Google, she has, like, it comes up.
I'm gonna get embarrassed now.
So Ange is was working at the time. She's like a really, really top archaeologist. In fact, I saw a post the other day, Ange, of you talking about a skull that you found where you could date back like the injury. Is that right?
Oh, was that the podcast?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Ange was working. She was doing 10 hours of a PhD a day. So, it's important to kind of put that into context that, most of the changes to her body happened in 12 weeks. She was working long hours, doing a PhD was very stressful. And then what happened to your PhD towards the end, Ange, which was even more stressful?
I lost a lot of work because my laptop blew up.
I remember this.
And I had to backtrack. So that was a bit grim, but it's all done and dusted now. So, yeah. But as I say, it's about individuals planning for themselves, being realistic about how things will work within their lives and their context. Because, as I said about the steps, if you try and do too much and you don't do it, you're just going to go and give up. Baby steps.
I think what you're saying there is really, really important, Ange, because you've talked about tracking tonight, and you've talked about essentially using MyFitnessPal. Now, for women watching, like, just so you're aware, like that's the method that we thought would work, and it worked for Ange.
Mm-hmm.
However, we have at the moment about 80 women we're working with, and I would say at least half, if not more, do not use MyFitnessPal. So I think what Ange is saying here is really, really important. And we get a lot of women that join this group and say, where's the list of foods? Like, what's the methodology? Like, how do you do it? And as Ange has just said, I really want to point this out really, really clearly. There is no one size fits all. That's why we are successful, in my opinion. Obviously, I'll ask Ange what her thoughts are, but in my opinion, this is why we are so successful, because there is no one size fits all. There is no set methodology, because we're professionals, because we are highly qualified, and we've worked with hundreds, if not thousands of women. We know that for each individual, certain things will work and certain things won't, and we know how to change them as we go along. Now, with Ange, I was really lucky. Like, Ange was a dream client. Like, we saw incredible results within 12 weeks, and it was super simple. Like, this for me, and for obviously speaking to Ange, she's saying it's easy. Like, she's kept the weight off, and it's easy.
It is what it is once you know. I mean, I occasionally use MyFitnessPal now, but I know, you know, I can eye a portion size, and I know what it is, and you know what the protein content. Occasionally, I do use it if I'm interested to find out about a particular food that I'm planning to eat, or going out to a restaurant. But I don't religiously sit there, like, you know, day after day, and crying when I get to 1,302 calories.
I think that's a really, really good point as well.
At the beginning, what you do at the beginning, right? You do your total and you're like, oh my God, I'm 20 calories over. And then you start looking through your list to see if, if you can massage the 20 calories out.
Because if you go into any like Facebook calorie counting group, there'll be people that are calorie counting like for years and never ever give it, like never ever stop doing it. And I think that's important to know. So yes, me and like we worked, that's a method that worked for Ange, and we did. But I think it's important to note now we're a year later, Ange doesn't really do it anymore. And in fact, you said before I called, didn't you, Ange, you don't really weigh yourself, you don't really measure yourself, like nothing anymore.
I haven't measured myself for a long, long time. And I might jump on the scales now and then, but I don't, because I can tell when I put my clothes on. You know, it's you're not going to suddenly put it all back on again because you have a day of, you know, being a bit naughty. Although there's nothing naughty. There's nothing naughty because it's all calorie content, isn't it? So no food is bad. I think that it's the fact that this approach is about the individual, each individual person. I mean, if you get a Slim World, there might be a tenner now. I don't know. It was a £5 when I went. But they're not interested in you, the person. They just want to make their money and weigh you once a week. So, I mean, I guess it could be described as a significant financial investment, but it's the best money that I've ever spent. Absolutely. I mean, I tried for years to get back down to 10 stone, and I just couldn't do it. I see when we finish this call, I'm going to have a glass of red wine and a bag of cheese and onion crisps.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, so we talked about everyone is different, and everyone we work with, every single woman does not follow the same approach. However, we always get the question, okay, what did Ange do, or what did such do? So can you remember the first kind of few steps, the first kind of few things that we did that like kind of got the ball rolling for you, just so we can kind of show people at home, okay, what Ange did? Well,
for me, it was using MyFitnessPal pretty much immediately, and becoming more aware of what I actually was eating. And steps. The steps. I got straight into the steps, and that made a huge difference immediately. It's easy for people to get overwhelmed, I guess, because there's so much information available. But my advice would be focus on one or two things. Learn about the group and what's happening. And ease yourself into it. I'm in weights as well. I love doing weights, so I was really into the weights quickly too. But I mean, I had the flexibility to be able to do all of those things because I was at home, and then we were in a lockdown anyway. So
I think you've already answered my next question. I was going to say, what would be your top tip? Would that be like focus on one or two steps?
Yes, one or two things. For the first couple of weeks, like do the steps. Start looking at your tracking if that's something that you want to do. Keep moving. If you can't go for a walk, dance in front of the telly. I did a lot of that. I did a lot of that.
Before we started working together as well, you were doing loads of cardio, right?
I was.
How much were you doing? Just to
this is like a graveyard for dusty cardio machines. I've got a bike that is a cross trainer and a stepper. I've got a rowing machine, and I've got one of those ridiculous twist and shape things. So I used to try and do a couple of hours every day.
A couple of hours every day.
That was my goal, but of course it wasn't always realistic. So then you'd be, oh God, I haven't done that again. I'm a failure. But when you told me that, what was it you'd have to do? Was it 9 hours of cardio to lose a pound of fat or something?
It's like 7 hours. Yeah, to get rid of a pound of fat.
I mean, life is too short. This is why people are going to get fed up. They are going to get fed up, definitely. And I think it's also important to say that if people are wanting to get involved in the exercise sessions, they're very manageable because they're half an hour. It's not so difficult to fit half an hour in. But I tell you, see, if you do half an hour with Chrissy, you certainly know that you've done your exercise. You do, because I do it with the weights now. And obviously your weight program as well. Each session is maybe takes you 45 minutes or something like that to do. So again, it's a manageable amount of time to commit.
So to kind of expand on what Ange is saying there for some of the women that are watching. So basically what Ange just explained. So before we worked together, she had been trying for years to lose this weight. Okay. And she was doing hours of cardio, like not every day, but very regularly. And I'm talking hours per like time that she would do it. So it wouldn't be like half an hour. She'd do it hours. So when we started working together, actually, I think, did you completely stop the cardio?
Yes. Apart from going for walks. Yeah. Going for walks, that's it. I don't know what I'm going to do with these. If anybody wants to buy some second-hand cardio machines, one careful owner.
So I just want to say as well, I'm not saying you can't do cardio and it doesn't it won't help. If you enjoy cardio, great.
Do it. Yes, do it.
But it doesn't matter. I want to make it really aware for women watching at home. If you like cardio, great, do it. If you don't like it, don't do it. It's not going to decide whether you lose weight or not. That's not the determining factor. In fact, Ange wanted to do 12,000 steps. She didn't hit 12,000 steps, but that didn't stop her losing the weight. 10,000 is an arbitrary number. There is no magic.
No.
Women watching this thinking, oh, okay, right. So Ange ate loads of protein. She did 10,000 steps. There's the magic. That's all I need to do. It doesn't work like that. And I think it's important to understand that. And then in terms of what Ange was saying, so in terms of her weight training program and then yoga and stuff like that. So the women that work with us, when they work one-to-one, so we can provide them with personalized training plans. So obviously I worked with Ange and I gave her a weight training program that's personalized to her. She could do it at home. We also have classes and instructors. So we have a woman called Chrissy. She's awesome. Geordie girl, and she does a couple of live classes a week. Some of them are recorded, so you can do them in your own time as well. And then we have yoga. We've now introduced Pilates. So as you can hopefully see, it's a more of a holistic program. This isn't like there's no list of foods. There's no set diet. Like, we're trying to help women change their lifestyle. And each person is going to be different. And I really, really want to emphasize this.
Yeah, no, that is important. Because
so many women come to me and say, oh, what's the methodology? Like, what do you do? And I was like, well, it's different. It's different for everyone. Got a couple of questions from, I think there's one question from someone from this morning. But for everyone watching at home, if you have questions for Ange, this is now your opportunity, okay? So we're coming to the end of this live. I think Ange has been absolutely brilliant. She's given a ton of value in terms of her journey, what she's done, what's helped her. So please ask any questions you want. I'm going to scroll back through the group and see if there's any others.
Maybe worth mentioning just how old I actually am, madam.
How old are you, Ange?
I'm 55 in August.
And you look amazing.
Thank you.
You looked amazing before, but you do look great.
I do feel a lot better, definitely.
Yeah, you look great. So the one question that we had earlier, so please get your questions in quick. So if we're not getting any other questions, obviously we're going to wrap this live up, and I want to keep Ange all night. The one question we had is, what exercise have you done? So what exercise do you do? So we'll answer that first of all. So what exercises do you do?
Okay, my steps are quite religious. As I say, I will dance in front of the TV if I can't get out for a walk. I do weights. Occasionally I go back into the program that you designed for me, but I tend more to do the ones with Chrissy because they're fun, you know. So that's resistance.
My program wasn't fun.
Well, it was brilliant, but you know, you're doing it yourself in your house, so it's nice if you're doing the Chrissy workout, because she is good. She's great. She's really, really good, and she keeps you going. So that's like a whole body resistance workout. I'd like to say I do it every session twice a week, but I probably only do one. Couple of the yoga, and that's it really at the moment. It depends how I feel and what's happening.
So that was kind of the next part of the question. So over the course of a week, how many
hours?
How many hours would you do you reckon?
Of the sessions with the girls, probably only 2 hours, maybe 3. And you know, the steps. But I'm much more conscious of just moving about now.
Yeah,
you know,
I think a lot of I think that's really important actually, to make women aware of this. So a lot of women will gain weight during the menopause, and one of the things they don't realise is that obviously jobs become more sedentary. You obviously lose muscle mass. You just tend to move less, like just in terms of just little movements that you don't realise. So that all of those things kind of add up, and that's why the weight starts to creep on. So I think just moving more, I think would be really
definitely
for sure.
Definitely. And I would say for me, certainly the FitBit has been indispensable. I couldn't live without my FitBit. So they're definitely worth investing in. It was just the sort of basic model I got. I can't remember what it was called, but you can pay a lot of money for them, but you don't need to, do you?
No, you can get like the kind of knockoff ones now that are, you know, in terms of if you just want something to measure steps, like just right, I'm going to see if there's any other questions and just go through comments. I can't see all of the comments, but I see Susan, who's a new member. She said, I've just gone out to get my walking, to get my steps up. She's got a 7,000 step goal. So Susan's already seeing results. So I think this is important to understand. So for the women watching at home, obviously Ange set herself 12,000. She lowered that to 10. She hits about 10. But she's already lost weight. She's only been with us a few weeks. She's only hitting 7,000. So like, don't think you have to hit like 10, 20,000 steps. Like it's not the number of steps.
No, it's not. It's also worth reminding people that, you know, there are other forms of exercise. Cleaning your bathroom, hoovering the stairs, you know, these are all, you're moving. And this is why if you've got your wee Fitbit, you see, you're thinking, oh, I'm not going to get my steps done today. But actually, if you're doing a lot of work around your house, more often than not, you can. I got something like 15,000 on Saturday because I was power washing in the garden.
Awesome, that's amazing. We've got Lorraine, who's been with us. She's lost like nearly 4 stone. I think it's like 3.5 stone.
Wow.
But she's saying amazing, Ange, well done. Susan, brilliant, Ange, inspiring. Elaine, who's relatively new working with us, she's saying, wow, my dream job. She's talking about your job.
Oh,
quite a few people saying that they love your job. Elaine, she said, I thought I was too old for this until I started. So,
no. Life begins, I tell you.
Yeah.
It's I think that's something that women can be terribly guilty of as well, though. Is this like, oh well, you know, I've passed 50 now, you know, that's it. But there's no reason for it to be it. I haven't felt this good for years and years, and a lot of people have said how good I look.
Yeah, you look great. Susan, who's a new member, this is probably a question for me. She said, how reliable is MyFitnessPal? Okay, so this is where the issue is with it. Okay, food labels can be 20% inaccurate, so this is why we don't always use MyFitnessPal. We don't completely rely on it. So actually with Ange, we never set a like a strict number. It was okay, roughly this, and then we tracked other data. So we looked at measurements, we looked at weight, and we saw what was happening over time. So when you're using MyFitnessPal, the best thing to use it for is literally to log your food. Don't use it for anything else, just to make you aware of how much protein you're potentially eating, fiber, stuff like that. Because actually, you know, MyFitnessPal will give you 1 million different foods for one food, and some of them might be accurate. The other thing you need to be aware of, like rice, the amount of calories depends on how long you've cooked it. You know, fruit depends on how kind of like ripe it is. There's so many factors there. It's a helpful tool if you've never done it. Like, so anyone watching this, I would say, if you've never done it before, I would recommend it because it will educate you around food a little bit. Like, it'll make you a little bit aware of calories, which is an actual unit. Sins are not, calories are real, because calories are the scientific measure of energy. So I think it can be useful as a bit of an educational tool, and that's why some of our women use it. Karen's put on the support work. I do 8-hour shift, and I do 7. I do 30 hours a week. How many should I do on average? So again, this question for me. So Karen, in terms of your calorie needs, no one needs the same amount of calories every day. This is another problem with calorie counting, because you don't burn the same amount of calories. You don't do the same amount of steps. You don't do the same amount of exercise. Like, it doesn't need to be a rigid number. Like, just use MyFitnessPal, track your food. And if you're not seeing results, you're consuming too many calories. And starvation mode is a myth. Okay, so it doesn't exist. Just look at starving children in the world. I know it's horrible to think about that, but they're not eating enough food. They're not gaining weight. Look at people in I'm a Celebrity. They're not eating enough food. They don't come out of there fatter. They come out of there much, much smaller. And in terms of you give me all of that data, unless you're working with us, we're not going to work out your calories. There are free calorie calculators online. I'm really sorry. We only do that stuff for our private clients. And plus, if we were to work out your calories, we'd need a lot more information. We need to know your age, your height, your weight. We need to know your activity level. Like, there's lots of other things. Susan, if you do classes that count as steps, yeah, of course it can. Anything can count as steps. Sue, have you ever worked with Sue Black? So Pamela's just said, have you ever worked with Sue Black?
Not directly, but I'm very aware of who Sue Black is. Yeah, she's now Dame Sue Black. She was at Dundee and she's now at Nottingham, I believe.
Oh, Pamela's. I think she works in a university, so I'm guessing that's why she's asked.
Oh, it will be. It will be. She's a forensic anthropologist. Done a lot of stuff on mass graves and stuff in Bosnia and places like that. A genius, yes, a genius.
I think that's it, Ange. She and I work at Dundee. Pamela just said. So Pamela's one of our members as well. She works with us.
Oh, right. Okay.
So yeah. Pamela Robertson. You'll see her comment, Ange.
Pamela Robertson.
She's in our private member group. So she works at Dundee University, and obviously with Sue.
So she must know Diana then.
I'll let you carry on.
I'll message her.
Okay, so thank you ever so much for all the women that showed up tonight. I know with the warmer weather, the numbers have gone down a little bit and stuff like that, but there's like 20 women at one point, and I know we're going to get hundreds that will watch this. So anyone that watched it, if you really enjoyed it, if you got a lot from this, I think Ange has given a ton of value this evening. Give us a like, give us a love heart, let us know in the comments if you enjoyed it, if you got a lot from this. And that's it. Thank you ever so much, Ange. I really, really appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure to it's been a while. I'm going to end Facebook.
All right.
So we don't have to go on Facebook.
Speak to you soon.